You can change your entire life by just changing one habit. Subscribe to our podcast and make listening a habit.
Change your mindset, manifest your dream life, and live magically with Rise and Align.
Raising the frequency one episode at a time.
Everything is always working out for us.
Hello and welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your hosts. My name is Haley.
And I'm Demi, and this season's theme is alchemy. And today we're talking about what to do if you don't love your job. So your job takes up so much of your life. If it's something that doesn't make you feel good, then you're feeling bad such a high percentage of the time. And guess what? How you feel is the conscious awareness of the frequency that you're vibrating at, and it determines how you act and what you attract in your physical reality. So you can't keep going like this, can you? The struggle is real and it shouldn't be. So today we're going to talk about how to change that and how to either fall in love with your job or get a job that you are madly in love with so that your entire life can alchemize to what you desire it to be.
Yes. This is kind of the bane of people's existence, I feel like, for so many of us, and I think for me, the number one thing that has helped me is to have a sense of detachment to the job that I have, because if you feel like you have to have that job, it's going to create more resistance and or resentment if you don't love it and don't leave it. So if you feel like you are attached to it, you're also not making space for something new or better. And I feel like so many people will stay at jobs similar to relationships. They'll stay in relationships longer than they actually want to be in because they're scared to take that next step. So many people will stay in a job that they hate because they're afraid of what comes next, or they're afraid, maybe they won't find something that has X quality about this job. And I think that creates so much limitations in what you're able to attract and call in. And I just think that detachment for me has been like key in calling in new opportunities and new jobs or new ways of making money into my life than I would have otherwise.
Yes. And I think it's kind of hilarious that we're talking about this because we are both absolutely known for just quitting a job as soon as we don't like it. But the number one thing I think you need to do is to regulate your nervous system. I can't preach this enough. It doesn't really matter what we're talking about. Regulate your nervous system, because when you are in fear or in fight or flight, it makes it so much more difficult to leave something. You almost become codependent on this job because you think that your survival is determined by it. And a lot of times, like, you can argue like, well, it is like, I can't pay for my house or my food without this job. And I totally get that. And what I'm going to say is study the universal laws. Go watch our first episode on alignment, because alignment first, always, always, always. But when you regulate your nervous system and you're not acting from fight or flight, you can make more logical decisions. And when you study the universal laws, you'll be of the understanding that how you feel is always attracting the reality you experience. And your bank account is a direct correlation with your beliefs around money and your frequency when it comes to money and abundance beliefs. So you can quit a job. And for me, I'm just going to give you a real life example. I had a job that I started to not like. Eventually I was getting anxiety before I went. Like, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I was stressed out, and I wanted I just wanted to quit. Like, and I had just spent a bunch of money on a house. So I was like, new house broke. And I just bought a new car, and it was really expensive payments. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't have a backup plan. And so I easily could have acted out of fear and been like, well, I can't do this. It's not logical. Like, I have to stay in this job because how am I going to pay for all of this stuff? I don't have money saved up. I don't have another income. Like, I don't have a partner. Like, what am I going to do? And because I studied the universal laws and because my nervous system was regulated at this point, I felt safe to quit. And now I'm telling you, regulate your nervous system first, because if you quit in fear, you're going to continue to fall into lack. It's not going to work. You have to regulate your nervous system first. But because I did, and because I understood the universal laws, I had zero fear around it. So the moment that I quit that job, I wasn't sad. I wasn't worried. I was relieved. I was pumped. I don't have to go to this hellhole tomorrow. I'm so excited. Like, it didn't matter where the money was going to come from. All I knew was that it was going to come and I was going to be okay. And I actually started filming after that because I was like, this is insane. No one's ever going to believe me if I don't record this. I started receiving a lot of money from the most random, inexplicable places. And you just can't make this up. Like, one example is 4 years prior to this, I rented a car in Mexico, which I thought was like pretty cheap. I don't think anything went wrong with it. Like, I don't have any memory of there being anything going on. But for some reason, there was some weird kind of settlement. And I got a check for like $700 in the mail from this rental car that I rented 4 years prior. It made no sense. You can't make this up. It was real money. The check cashed. I don't know. But things like that kept on happening to me for the next 2 months until I kind of fell into another job. And I will say I was working for myself doing makeup already. So my own business started to pick up a lot more because I had more time and energy to pour into myself and, you know, really hone my craft and advertise and, you know, do all the things that I really truly wanted to be doing for myself. Now, I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow if it doesn't feel safe, but I am saying if you can regulate your nervous system and have your belief system be like solid, then you have to follow your intuition and do what feels the best, because that's going to attract the most abundance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. I love that you went there, because I've experienced that myself actually in a really intense way. Like, I went to college initially for nursing, right? And I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I was going to be a nurse because, you know, they make decent money. Like, my family thought that was just great, you know, whatever. It was going to be what I did. I liked caring for people. And so I went to nursing school. I got certified to be a nursing assistant. Like, I was working in a nursing home. And I did not love that. It was very emotionally draining and it took a toll on me. So I then continued being a CNA because that's what you do. If you're going to nursing school, you're getting experience. So I instead got a job at a hospital, and I was like, oh, this will be so much better. And at that point, like, I had never been more unhappy in my life. Like, I really did not like it. It was like, I at that point didn't realize that I could protect my energy from people. And so I was in an environment that was very draining as it was, but it was literally taking the life out of me. And that was the point where I was so miserable that I was like, something has to change. And so then I did begin to study. I did begin to meditate. I began a yoga practice because at that point, it was literally just a way for me to survive the day. I was like, if I'm not doing this, I'm not going to be able to get through the day. And the deeper I got into my practice and the deeper I was able to step back from that and connect with myself, I realized that I was unhappy with my job. Like, I don't know if I made that distinction initially, that like this was just not meant for me. I think that the dissonance was that it just wasn't for me. I think that if something feels really difficult and contracting, it's not meant for you, right? And I'm so appreciative of all the nurses out there who are doing that work. But I think that allowed me to realize that wasn't meant for me. And I was regulating myself. I had begun to feel safe in my body and not feel like in such a chaotic, nerve-wracking, fearful state that I was able to make that decision to just quit. And at that time, I was a college student anyways. So I feel like at that time of your life, you're just like, it doesn't really matter to quit a job necessarily, but it was a really big decision for me because then it altered the course of my life. I quit nursing school and I went in a totally different direction. And it's just because I took that little bit of time to step back, regulate myself, and realize like what I truly wanted for myself. So I think that that is a really important step in deciding, if something's right for you and if it's time to move on from a job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people actually become really self-identified with their job. And so it's like this massive fear because not only is it just simply quitting a job, it's changing who I am. It's changing the path of my life. And like that can be scary. So I do think like what you're saying, especially like part of regulating your nervous system can be meditating, but that can also mean connecting to yourself. It can also mean figuring out on a deeper level, like who you are, what you really want to be doing, what you really want, and then being brave enough to actually act on that. And I find that one thing that can make it feel more safe is to make a plan. So I actually created a course. It's called My Success Routine. It's not just a course. It actually lays out for you exactly how to create healthy habits that are going to lead you to success. For me, I'm a mom and I run multiple businesses and we're doing this podcast. There's a lot to juggle and I totally understand how it can become overwhelming. And when it becomes overwhelming, people often just give up. So when you create habits, then you're going to keep them and they're going to build, and then you really create success in your life overall. And the way I've laid it out for you is going to help you break down subconscious beliefs holding you back, help you ground and regulate your nervous system, and then help you create a solid plan that you can act on in order to change your everyday life and your life in general. So I'll link it below. It's really helpful. But I think, just in general, thinking of a plan, like how can I feel safe quitting this job? Do I need to save X amount of money? Do I need to find another job first? Like, do I need to, grow an account to a certain number of followers in order to feel like I can have my own business or whatever it might be? Making that plan makes it a lot more tangible and doable, I find, in people's minds, and that it's not such a scary, massive step all at once. You've kind of built that foundation to feel safe in order to act on that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that can be really important. I also think that noticing where you're self-sabotaging yourself can be really important. I feel like a lot of people will put others on a pedestal, and maybe you will self-sabotage in order to maybe please someone else. So this could be other family members. Like a lot of people have or go down a career path because of a family member, and you are living an experience that someone else wants for you, and you're kind of self-sabotaging your own experience for someone else. But people also will tend to put their bosses on a pedestal or other people's opinions of what you should be doing on a pedestal. And I think that it's so important to, take, whether it's a belief, a person, off of that pedestal. You can put yourself up on that pedestal and realize like you get to decide what you want for your life, and you can't let other people's ideas control that. So for me, I have self-sabotaged myself in a way that I wouldn't pursue something else because maybe someone in my life would perceive it as, not prestigious isn't necessarily the right word, but just not as like official or like where I should be. Or I've self-sabotaged myself because I'm like, okay, I have a 4-year degree, like I should be doing something maybe corporate-y or like, have this like official like project manager name type dealio instead of just like a little small business owner, like do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like that doesn't maybe sound as fancy when you're telling someone what you do. And so I've self-sabotaged myself pursuing what I want just based off of maybe other people's perceptions. And I think letting that go and letting go of what an identity of a job can mean, like letting go of your sense of identity with the job that you have can be really important, and just not letting, these are like multiple different concepts that I'm trying to put into one, but I feel like you guys are kind of getting what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely massive. I've seen so many people choose their job simply because like my parents, my family, my friends, like, and people worry so much what others think of them. I think once you get past 25, you start to worry less and less and less, and your brain is fully developed. And then it's often around that age that people are like, oh my God, I hate my job. Like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, why did I do this? I also have a bachelor's degree I don't use, you know, but it can be just so much pressure, you know, societally or based on the subconscious beliefs you learn from your parents. Like, if you're not doing this, you're not good enough. And that can be really tricky because we're taught to respect and admire our parents or elders or whatever. Society really respects like doctors, lawyers, engineers, and that's that. So if you're not that, then you're a failure, right? Mm-hmm. But no, if you're not happy, then you're a failure. Like that's what it really comes down to, because how you feel is what you're attracting. So if you're miserable all the time, what are you doing? If you have to work 24/7 to make money, what's the point? You're not spending that money on fun things. You don't have ease in your life. Like this, it's defeating the purpose. So I was going to say, oh yeah. Okay. So when you're thinking about like, what do I really want to do? It's super important to think about how would it feel to have your dream job. If you're like, I'm not really sure what it is, think about how it would feel. Think about the things that you really love and how they make you feel. How would it feel? And then if you are able to come up with a career path or an idea or something, continue to visualize that, right? And I think self-perception, self-image work is so massively effective when it comes to this, because if you want to be a specific person, if you want to have a specific job, ask yourself, 1, how would it feel? 2, how would you act? And 3, what would you wear? Because if you can start to change the self-concept, self-image, and turn yourself into that person who has that dream job, you're going to manifest that dream job. You're going to start acting like them. You're going to dress like them. You're going to attract the people and experiences that they're attracting and experiencing. And it becomes a lot more easy to step into that career path versus holding on to this old identity of like, this is who I am. Like, I am a nurse, or I am in the army, and like, this is my whole being. This is my whole identity. Like, it doesn't have to be what feels the best for you. That's actually who you are. So step into that as much as you can, and think about like, what habits do they have, and you know, who do they hang out with, and if you start to act like them, you become them.
Yes, I love that tip of like tapping into the how does it feel aspect, because if I think about it, like I could see a version of me, I could have like a million dream jobs. Like there's so many things I know that I could be happy doing that I think would just be delightful and dandy. So say one version of me is like, I would love to live in the country, have a little stand that I sell fresh flowers at, that I pick from my garden, and have little berries, and you know, when people drive by, they can, you know, just drop in their little money and take their little treat and go. Okay, so a lot of people would be like, that's unrealistic, that's lazy, you have to be more productive, like you're not doing enough, like you have to leave the house, like you have to go to your job. Like there's so many perceptions that people have of so many different things that you may have even taken on yourself. So, right, if I'm thinking about like, I would love to do this, but in the back of my mind, I have these just beliefs that I've maybe carried, like, oh, like that is not hard enough work. Like I need to be more productive or whatever. But then if I stop thinking about it and then think about or connect to how it would actually feel if I was doing that, it kind of changes the whole game, because I'm like, oh my God, I would be so happy. I would spend the day in the sun, in my garden, picking flowers. And like the difference of thinking about it logically and then tapping into the feeling of something is so different. And the feeling is actually where the magic lies. I think if you can tap into the feeling of it, you can tap into bringing that to life. But like I can see myself sometimes working through that. Like in my brain, I'm like, okay, quitting my job, like people would think that's irresponsible. That is like, how could you in this economy? People would be so grateful to have that job. And then I remember like one, how bad it feels to be doing that. And two, like how good it would feel to have freed up my time, to have the opportunity to spend time growing myself in an area that I would love to, you know, maybe turn into an avenue for making money. And so really like stepping out from the thinking and into like the feeling, I think is totally like so important.
The key. I also think, so when you're working on nervous system regulation, it becomes easier to listen and tap into your intuition, which is what's going to truly tell you what the right path is for you. And nobody else's beliefs, perspectives, thoughts can help you figure that out. You've got this own internal map and you have to listen to it. So if you think about, okay, if I were doing this job, how would it feel? And it's like, tight, not good. That's your intuition telling you, nope, wrong way. Don't turn that way, the other way. And then here's the problem. When your nervous system isn't regulated and your intuition is telling you like, I want to be a movie star, your subconscious beliefs are like, yeah, right. Don't even bother. You're never going to that's impossible. Like no way. That's unrealistic. You can't do it. It happens to 1 in a million people and it's not going to be you. If that's what your heart desires, that is the path you should actually be going after. If that feels aligned, it's actually incredibly likely that that would work out for you if you're brave enough to follow it. But if your nervous system isn't regulated and you're not studying the universal laws and you're acting out of fear instead of faith, you're not even going to try to pursue that. Nobody else can tell you what's right for you. So if you've got this massive dream, allow yourself to believe it. Allow yourself to go after it. You don't have to be stupid about it. You can do one little step at a time, but follow your intuition and practice tuning into your intuition. And that can mean meditation. That can mean following your highest excitement, like we've talked about before. So if you have a free day, just ask yourself, what do I want to do? And the first thing that pops up that sounds exciting, just go do it. And just follow that little inkling all day long. If you start to follow that little inkling, it will become more natural for you to do that. And that little inkling will tell you exactly who you are and where you're meant to be. And you're going to have the most success following that. If you can, if I built private jets, I would make so much more money, but I'd be miserable. You will actually make more money and be happier and be at a higher frequency if you follow your intuition than if you're like logically, well, this job makes a lot of money. It doesn't matter. It matters how you feel. And unfortunately, I think, money is amazing. It's a tool. I love money. Money loves me. But I think that humans focus too much on that sometimes. When they're thinking about what they want to do, they're like, well, I have to do what makes money. But if you're making money and you're miserable, what's the point of making money? Like the whole reason you want money is because you think you'll feel better in the having of it. So you might as well choose what's going to feel good, because you're going to be at a higher frequency and you're going to attract more abundance in your life anyway.
Amen. Period. Done.
Mic drop. That's it.
Yes. So intuition is something that I put down as something to talk about with this, just because your intuition is your higher intelligence. And if you are feeling that inkling towards something, it is because that is meant for you. If something is exciting to you, that is meant for you. And like I had talked about with, the whole nursing thing, I used that negative emotion as like a trigger or realization that that is a no, that is not meant for me.
So Reese Witherspoon the other day posted a video that I thought was really good. She said, don't go after your goals, go after your talents. And I think that we are innately talented at what we're meant to be doing. So your talent might be something silly that you consider that's not a talent. Like maybe you're really funny, but if you're really good at being really funny, maybe you're meant to be a comedian. Don't shut yourself down and be like, no, that's unrealistic. Look at Matt Rife. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He's so successful now, and he just started like on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there are so many people. If you just allow yourself, believe in yourself, continue to follow that inkling, and yeah, go after your talents because you're naturally good at what you're meant to be doing.
Mm-hmm. And I love with today's day and age, like you can literally make money doing anything you want. Like it's just a matter of like being brave, having that faith over fear, listening to your intuition and following the path there. Yeah, it may not happen overnight, but like you can literally make money doing anything and you don't have to be miserable. Like allow that paradigm to just fall away right now. Work should not be miserable. And like you said, you spend so much of your time doing it. And I think when you were talking about, you know, a lot of people making money as the primary focus, and like even Russ will say like in one of his songs, he doesn't trust people who put money over everything. If you put money on the pedestal, if you put that as like the thing, you are likely going to suffer in other aspects of your life. If you're chasing the money, not from alignment, not from just a place of abundance and joy and happiness, but from just like a only focused on the money, guess what? That is not true wealth. That's not true abundance. Like money is just one form of abundance. And I think that the ultimate success, the ultimate goal is to be in alignment and making money in alignment, because that is going to be the most sustainable, and you are also going to thrive in all other aspects of your life. Like you're going to also attract like really great relationships and family and friends and experiences, and your life is going to feel way more fulfilling. Like don't put the money over everything, and likely you will have to say you're going to quit your job. You're going to have to come to terms of like that momentary pause of like losing that money and rebuilding your relationship with it. And so there may be a period of time where you're not bringing in any money, but like that is actually where the magic is going to be, because you get to reframe how you get to make that money again. You know,
your faith becomes stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I heard somebody ask a question the other day. It was really interesting to hear like two people converse about this subject, because they said, if you could choose guaranteed happiness or guaranteed wealth, like infinite money or infinite joy, what would you choose? And I think there are a lot of people who would say, well, duh, infinite money, because if I had infinite money, I'd be happy. But
other way around.
It's actually not guaranteed. Yeah, and other way around. Yeah, it's really interesting. But like, if you're guaranteed to be happy, isn't
nothing
that the
else
whole
matters? Who cares?
Yeah,
you want money because you think it's going to make your life better in some way.
Yeah, so it's just really interesting. And I think because society puts so much emphasis on money and material possessions, a lot of people think that's what they want. And like Russ actually went through this whole period where he talked about it too, and like went to therapy and stuff, where he like got everything that he ever wanted, and he was like unhappy, and he's like, why am I unhappy? Like this doesn't make any sense. Like this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's because we put so much emphasis on money and material possessions that we don't think about like, what does my soul innately crave?
Mm-hmm.
And like, maybe I'm not a billionaire, but I have a
I'm
job
happy.
I love. I have a family I love. Like, I have freedom. I have free time. Like, doesn't that sound so much better, actually?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Just something to ponder. Like, think about what does your soul truly desire versus like what society is valuing.
Mm-hmm.
Not always the same.
And letting go of like the how it's going to work out. It's like we tap into the trusting and having faith, but not worrying about the how. I love having the perspective of like, you you still have to take action, and that's where that intuition comes in. It'll guide you each step of the way, but not to be so worried about the bigger picture, and like let the universe take care of the details. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be the driver. You can hang out in the back seat. You kind of know where you're going. You're finding joy in the meantime. You're reading your little book, doing your thing, and the universe will like support that and flow with you through that and take care of the details. Because if you're so hyper focused on like, that's not realistic, it would have to be like this, I'd have to go, whatever, like you're hyper fixated on all the details of how it would have to work out. You're not leaving room for the magic to come in and create space for that and allow it to unfold maybe in a different way than you could have even imagined. So just letting go of like the how, or how it should be, or how it, you think it should be, because the universe, like your higher self, they know, they like they know the way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's that, honestly.
I have one other thing that I think, okay, two other things. So the first thing is like, if you are in like, you're feeling like you're in this really big rut, like you're not enjoying work, but you don't know what you want to do, or like how, like what the next step would be, I would recommend just like, one, when you're away from work, fully step away from work. Don't think about work. Don't think about emails. Don't think about work. Just be present. And then try new experiences, like try new things, go new places, and just like introduce yourself to different people that are doing different things. And, even just getting yourself in a different environment can allow you to see things in a different way that might inspire you to take action, and kind of give you some clarity on maybe what you would want to do next. The second thing that I've really loved practicing when I am really wanting to call in maybe a new job is to script that, especially like in a journal, or you can verbalize it, or create affirmations to support it. But I love to just write like, I'm so happy now that I have, whatever job. And you can go into super great detail about, how that makes you feel and how good that is. And it does help you embody that energy and feel it deeper, which I think, again, is going to help you call that in. But then you're also like preparing yourself for that to be normal. Like, you're training your mind that is just like a fact, and that is your life. And we've talked about it before, like, your mind or your imagination doesn't know the difference between like reality, or your mind doesn't know the difference between your imagination and like physical reality. So if you are telling your mind like, this is true, like, I'm so happy and grateful now that like this is my experience, like it's going to be, that is what is going to help you transcend into that new version of you that might have that job that you want.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with also like the work boundaries, at work when you're at work, at home when you're at home. And there was one more thing I was going to say. If you're stuck in this job for a certain amount of time, like you've made a plan, but you're like, I have to stay here for at least 3 more months to make X amount of money or whatever, romanticize the job that you're in and appreciate the good things about it. Because like Abraham Hicks says, the more that you focus on the good and the things that you want, the easier that those things will come into your life into more abundance. So Same with like if you're in a relationship, like focus on all the good parts, because it's either going to align that job with you or bring a new one to you with those traits and better. So I think that can kind of make it easier when you're going to a job where you've like been focusing on these bad parts of it and like have this really negative perspective. Like it can be really difficult to go there. But if you're like, okay, well, I don't love it, it's not forever, but I make good money, I have some decent coworkers, you know, I do enjoy creating this or whatever. Like if you can just focus on that and at least change the perspective, you're at least aligning your frequency to that of your dream job in a subtle little way. And that's a really easy way to just get started in the right direction.
Yes. Also, you may have touched on this earlier of just like acting like that person already and like dressing like that person and having habits of that person and maybe talking to people who have that job that you're looking for, or finding people online who have that, and just like normalizing that and allowing yourself to just like embody her, like, or him, or that version of you that is just, is that, you know, you're I did this. I wanted to work from home so bad. I was like, all right, that's it. And so I set up an office space in my house. I like rearranged a whole room to be like my office. I set it up. I'm like, I'm working from home. This is going to be my office. And like I just got myself super set up for that. And that was not my reality. But I manifested that quite quickly because I was just like taking action as if like that was, I was her. Like that's my life. And like always, we're going to finish the episode by pulling a magical little card and leave you guys with a message so that the universe has a moment to speak through us and to you guys as well. So the card that we pulled is the Moth, which says mystery, concealment, and illusion, which... Yes. Okay. I'm excited for this. And if you're watching the video, you can see the card on the screen.
I loved what you were saying about setting up the office and like get ready to be ready. Like Abraham Hicks says, you were ready to be ready and then you made it happen. I love that. But yeah, the self-image work and acting and dressing and having the habits of that person. I'm also really excited about this card. There's a crescent moon in the back. It's flippin' magical mystery. I'm excited. All right. While some species of moth are diurnal, we tend to associate moths with the night. Moths are beautiful night pollinators doing important work under the cover of darkness. Moths are often compelled to seek out the light, even though it may endanger them. Moths, like butterflies, often have markings that disguise them, tricking predators into assuming they are something other than what they truly are. This illusion serves as protection. The Moth card tells you that perhaps something around you isn't what it seems. Look for the truth and follow the light, but don't let yourself be blinded. There may be something in your life that needs illumination in order for you to take control. Reflection. What in your life needs illumination to enable you to see past a surface level illusion? Oh, that's so good. I feel like societal concepts and belief and like those perspectives that we were talking about that might have like held you back or like influenced you to choose a certain career path are that surface level illusion. And like the beliefs like, oh, you can't do it, it's unrealistic for you unwhimsical bitch. Like, yeah, I think that's the surface level illusion, like in, you know, illuminating the darkness and you know, seeing the, like, just even becoming consciously aware of the beliefs you hold around yourself and your ability to create the life that you really want.
Yeah. And how it was talking about, it had like this armor to like pretend it was something that it's not or whatever. I feel like I have worked jobs where like if you aren't fully in it, like it doesn't feel you have to literally pretend to be someone that you're not. You're not being authentic to yourself or the people around you. And you are like literally like taking bits away from yourself by like not fully being you. And that's such a disservice to you and everyone around you. But it's just so silly because I feel like I have worked jobs where I'm like, I didn't like, and I had to like pretend to be like this customer service girly. And like, no, that's not me. You know, it's just interesting. You literally have to put on like a mask at work, especially if you don't like your job. Like, and that creates so much dissonance in your reality, I feel like. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. So illuminate the darkness, connect with your intuition, find out what you really want, and be brave enough to go after it. I think that's all we have. But
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us. We cannot wait to continue this theme of alchemy with you this season, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.